afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor for me to stand here and deliver a presentation for you. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about the flame detectors. Everybody, stay calm and remain safe, because this is just a drill. Just a second ago, the fire alarm went off. Would you be shocked or terrified if this wasn't a drill? Things might have gotten worse if there wasn't any flame detectors around. The flame detector has a very important job, as it informs us if there's a fire in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Intech, the world's greatest leading flame detector company. My name is 양동재학생이, the marketing manager of Intech. Before we get started, please focus on this short video. In 2008, February 10th, an old man deliberately burned down Korea's #1 national treasure, the Sunlan Gate. 88 fire trucks and 128 firefighters had an attempt to save one of Korea's most iconic historical sites. Unfortunately, 10% of the first floor and 9% of the second floor had been damaged. And it cost 20 billion won to restore the gates. How could we allow such a precious and valuable thing like a national treasure to be burned down in just a second? We should no longer witness these disasters and continue spending billions on something which could have been avoided in the first place. But from now on, have no fear, because we Intech will prevent this from happening ever again, since we manufacture the best flame detector in the world. What is a flame detector, you might ask? Let me tell you. A flame detector is a small device that detects and responds to flame or fire to protect our lives and properties. In extremely hazardous environments, flame detectors work to minimize the risks associated with fire. How does it work? When a fire occurs, the flame has a combustive characteristics: ultraviolet rays, infrared rays. Both exist in a different wavelength range, radiates from the flame. So when a certain wavelength is reached, the detector shows a positive sign of fire. So for the UV flame detector, when the wavelength is reached between 185 to 260 nanometer, it is seen as fire. For the other flame detector, however, when the wavelength is reached around 4.4 micron range, it is also seen as fire. So, I've talked about what and how about the flame detector. But why? Why choose Intech? With patented Intech technology, we have created the best flame detector in the world. Normally, UV detectors and iron detectors are separated in the marketplace. But we at Intech have combined both products into one masterpiece. Before, UV detectors could only detect UV rays, and iron detectors could only detect iron rays. But now, it has two sensors to distinguish and filter, which means the accuracy of detecting flame has doubled, and the number of false alarms are reduced. Both of the UV and IR sensors must be activated by a flame's particular wavelength to see it as a fire. It will only take 2 or 3 seconds to distinguish whether it's a fire or not. As in 1, 2, 3. How quick was that? 3 seconds is just enough to save the world. It can detect at the range of 30 meters and 100 degrees, which will cover all the surfaces which flame might occur on. The most interesting part of our flame detector is there's a CCTV equipped on it. On industrial sites, explosions are regular occurrences, but it is always hard to establish exactly why it happened. But Intech, it is first to release the flame detector in Korea. And with 200 megapixel full HD camera, we will record before and after the explosions, and we will prevent by identifying initial causes. Footage can be accessed via monitors at the control tower or the smartphones in our pocket. So let's see how our detectors work. Let's say a fire happens in a building. Our detector would distinguish whether it's a fire or not in 3 seconds. And the detector says, yes, it's a fire. It will immediately alert the monitors or the smartphones. Then, firefighters would come and extinguish the fire. And again, Intech has saved another world. As you can see, we truly have saved a world. Intech is not only for domestic major companies, it is also all recognized all around the world. From now on, Intech would like to take responsibility and guarantee the safety of your lives and property. Whether it's a workplace or the colleagues next to you, we will protect them with Intech's advanced technology. You might have heard of this quote from the movie called Kingsman. Manners maketh man. We at Intech also have a similar one. Intech maketh safety. You've always got to remember this sentence. Intech is instrumental in safety. Thank you for listening and enjoy the rest of the day.